Storytelling, it's a very important thing by these days. It allows you to connect with your audience, with your customers, so also they can understand how you started, which struggles you had, and it's a very good option for you to embrace content marketing and your communication. Although there are some challenges people face when we want to make storytelling, which is how can I start? How can I make it? Is it's kind of a little bit difficult to make it, and because of that, today I brought again Daniel Alegi to talk about storytelling and about this new app he released very some days ago, and which will help you a lot to improve your storytelling. Stay tuned because we'll be back soon. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the special marketing live show. Today, I think it's the 19th episode of the 6th season, and we will talk about storytelling with Daniel Alegi once again, because I think it's a very important topic, and Daniel knows a lot about storytelling. But before that, please let me know, where are you located? Let me know on which platform you are watching us. Also, if you are watching now, and if you want, and I ask you to make your questions, to put your doubts on in the comments, so Daniel can help you. And if you are watching the replay, and if you have any questions or doubts, please write it down and tag Daniel so he can knows he can get a notification that you are asking him. Okay. Also, if you know someone who may likes this broadcast, please bring he or she to the conversation so she or he can watch us. Hello, Arnaldo. How are you? Good to have you here. Abraço, meu caro. Bem-vindo. By the way, Arnaldo, Daniel, I think he can speak a few words in Portuguese to you. Let's see. So let's bring Daniel to the conversation. He's, as usual, on the basement, eating the cookie and drinking an amazing, a tasty glass of water. So, welcome, Daniel. How are you?
Ciao, Marco.
First of all, thank you so much for being here again to talk about storytelling, which is a hot topic by those days. I think people are more curious about storytelling, how to make storytelling, the advantages of storytelling, and this and so on. And so, first of all, I want you to say hello to Arnaldo in Portuguese.
Tudo bem, Arnaldo? Eu falo pouco português brasileiro, mas...
Well, very good, very good.
Tá legal.
Yeah. Perfect. And Daniel, thank you so much. I will ask you, as usual, to introduce yourself to the audience, and then we can start the conversation.
Right. My name is Daniel Alegi, and I think it's the 4th time that I'm here on your show to talk about storytelling, which is kind of the culmination of my professional and nomadic filmmaking and teaching career. So I'm now in Sweden, of all places, after having worked for a long time in Los Angeles and having started in Italy. So right now I'm working on helping companies use storytelling techniques, understanding story, to connect to their customers, to define their identity. And at the same time, I'm working with young storytellers, filmmakers, youth cinema makers, Everybody right now is a storyteller, and story is our common value. So that's what I'm here to talk about.
Perfect. So I think that you get approved by Arnaldo, which is good.
Okay.
You
Obrigado.
got you got approved. So I think we can start the conversation, Daniel, with precisely with this, because sometimes people say, okay, this storytelling thing is just kind of a story, you know. There's no value in this. I have a business to run, you know. I have to sell. I have to get money. What do you have to say about this?
Well, well, my view is that storytelling is the value. So
Can I bring it to the screen?
sure, yeah, we have a slide about that. Yeah,
Okay, so there you go.
yeah. I mean, basically, these days, storytelling should be actually officially like another Bitcoin. Something that you can convert into benefit almost automatically. If you have a good story to take to the market, you can convert it into profits, but also into benefits for your users, your customers, your followers, your audiences, your company, your employees, right? So a story is not something separate from the business of a company. In fact, some of the most famous leaders, storytellers in chief, are CEOs. I mean, everybody, loves to tell the Steve Jobs story, or loves to talk about Jeff Bezos driving cross country to start Amazon in Seattle. So there's different kinds of stories, right? There's the past story, the story of how the company came to be, the story of how things came together, idea, team, charisma, luck, etc. And then there's the future story. What's our vision? What are we after? What are we looking for? Which is particularly useful right now, where we're all kind of in fog a little bit about what's going to happen. And then there's the story of the now, what's happening right now, the making of a product, the blogging, the day-to-day tweeting, the communicating, the process of running a company while you run it. So you have these three kinds of storytelling: the storytelling of the past, how you got to be here; the storytelling of the future, which is what do you see, where do you want to go; and then the storytelling of the moment, which is the encounter, the conflict between your personal dream and ambition and the reality of the world and the competition and the market out there. So I think the issue of finding time for storytelling is kind of a false problem. Your work in your company is your storytelling.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's go to the next slide.
Oh, we have another slide. Okay.
I think we do. Let me see. I think this should be one of the problems.
This is, well, the funny thing about storytelling is that you think of it linearly. The story starts here and it goes there, but in reality, then everything that happens in the middle is the story. So one of the reasons why I developed this little app, Scriptonite, which we'll then, we'll see a couple of screenshots from, is because a lot of people worry about, gee, I don't know how it's going to begin. I don't know how it's going to end. But one of the things I'm suggesting with this image is that the thing that really matters is the journey. And exactly where it begins or ends is not that important.
Absolutely.
Okay,
we are back to lights.
It's AI driven. Perfect. Yeah. So I mean, the idea that a story is a series of complexities and complications is not new in the world of fiction and drama. We all love movies and we know how complex they can get. But when you switch into the area of real life business, how can you apply some of this awareness and knowledge to your business storytelling? And I think that's kind of the question that we were getting before, which is, if my storytelling has to be dramatic and complicated, well, then I'm not good at it. Then I can't do it. And people worry about, who do I hire and who do I get involved in telling our story? And I think a lot of the storytelling starts from the personal level, right? You have some issue that you have to solve. Your product is trying to solve a specific issue. Or if you're, like a dramatic character has a problem, they need to solve it. Like Indiana Jones is afraid of snakes. He's going to fix that down the road. And then you have a social dimension, which is, how does this problem of yours or your company's problem-solving issue exist in the social world with other companies, with the physical world? Expose an idea to gravity and it falls to the ground. You have to make it fly. It's not easy. And the third dimension, of course, is the big story dimension, right? The one that has no beginning and end. The one that says, how did the world start? How will the world end? We don't really know our beginning or our ending. We just exist in the middle. So I'm suggesting that in the little stories, we do the same. We accept that it's all going to be about the middle, and that the beginning and the ending are just parentheses, techniques to deliver a story.
I see. Can we go next one?
Wow, where'd you get all these slides?
Well, I can tell you.
I love this. I love the formatting of it. Basically, this is simply a slide that says, why are we telling stories? Why do we tell stories? And the items that I put on this slide are basically to figure out where we're going and what rewards are waiting for us when we get to that destination. After you do 1 million live stream shows, Marco, where is that going to get you?
I don't know.
Right?
Mars, I guess.
And also to define who we are. To define who we are as a character, as a person, as a company. Because if we don't have an identity, then we won't be able to really understand the choices that we face and the dilemmas that we must resolve. So identity, who are we? Knowledge, what do we know? What are we sharing? What are we teaching? What are we learning along the way, right? And then creative options, meaning that once we start to understand some of this structure, what story we are in, we also become more creative. It's a paradox. You think, oh, either I'm all improvisation or I'm all structure. You know what I mean? It's either I'm an abstract painter or I'm an engineer. But the reality is the more you structure and the more freedom you will have in working on the details. Okay. So when you're looking,
if you allow me to interrupt you,
yeah.
I think this, and I think it's good to go a little deeper in this topic, which is creativity, because sometimes people misunderstand and they make this misinterpretation about creativity. They think the creativity is not, that doesn't have a process, doesn't have work on the backside. And for me, it's all the opposite. Creative people usually they work a lot. They have to make this their own processes. Okay, it varies from people to people. Yes, it varies because some people have insights on the beach, some on the bathroom. Doesn't matter. But I think one of the misunderstandings is that creativity doesn't come from nowhere. It's a process, it's a work, and it has also a structure. Don't you think?
Yeah. I think this is a leftover from experimental psychology of the last century to somehow divide the creatives from the non-creatives and the right brainers from the left brainers. I think basically there are certain elements that we forget to consider in talking about creativity, and one of them is the pressure. If you were to make some pasta here, I'm playing on the home base here. If you were to cook some pasta in a pot, the pot is the right size so that it can boil in the right time. If your pot was as big as the ocean, it would never boil. You just would never have enough pressure inside the container to get the water to boil. And creativity responds to pressure and temperature and urgency in the same way. Procrastinators know that when they come down to the last day, everything comes easier. Right? A creative person with a year to a deadline is not a creative person anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that creativity and problem solving are not absolute values. You're not always creative or never creative. You can sharpen your skills depending on the environment that you're in. And by environment, I mean, the temperature, the pressure of that situation. So I like story structures, but I also like to improvise. So, for example, when I was, I've been a university teacher for about 20 years in several different countries. And a lot of the projects you have in universities are short. They happen in 2 months or 3 months. So I cannot have a student spend 9 months to write a script. So I would basically tell them, let's shortcut the script. Let's just talk about the main events, how they're connected, and how each event develops. Which really is the basis of my application, Scriptonite. In other words, trying to say, don't worry about the creative form, just worry about the creative energy. You have something to say, grab it. And don't waste any time thinking, gee, I'm not Dostoevsky, I'm not Kubrick, I can't write well. Nobody cares about how you describe a couch. What people care is that you actually have enough steps in your story that someone will be interested in learning who's walking on them.
Absolutely. I think, and again, and I had this conversation the other day with talking about websites, and the guy, we were talking about doing our own website or to hire someone, and he came with this idea. Well, the problem with this is that my first website was not by far it was the worst I made. So I think it's one of the things that we should have in mind also when we are doing this, is the first one will be not that good, and we have to practice, because one of the problems we face is, okay, let me try. Oh, it's not good. I'll give up. I won't be do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that I have an approach that sometimes gets me some funny looks, and that is that I don't really believe in mistakes. I mean, if you turn left instead of right and you go on a one-way street the wrong way, and that of course is a mistake. But what I mean is that in the creative world, in developing ideas, a mistake is just a step in the process.
Absolutely.
In other words, I want to go from point A to point B, and guess what? I'm going to take some left and right turns to get there. That's why I had that cartoon image of the story and the plan, because you want to go from A to B, But I mean, who would read the Odyssey if the story was about Ulysses has to go to war to get Helen from Troy, and then he comes back home to Penelope?
Amazing.
It's not much of a story, but it's a perfect story for adding as many episodes in the middle as you want. So you can add Polyphemus, you can add Silencaridi, the magician of Circe. All of these elements can be added because they're episodes, right? It's like a serial that we have today, a serial show. Once you know the beginning and the end, you can pretty much control the middle. And in the middle, every mistake becomes a part of timing. Imagine if you're thinking of a drum beating, an African drum beating a rhythm, and every time the drum is not hitting, that was a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's simply that a drum beat has two parts, the hit and the release.
Absolutely.
And so is everything we do in story has action and reaction. So you do one thing, the light goes off, and then you do another thing.
You have to do, there's an action, and now there's the reaction.
Right?
Perfect.
So,
perfect. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, the mistake is the reaction, in the sense that you have an active beat, and then you have a reaction. And then you have another action and another reaction. And this, which seems the most obvious thing in the world, really sort of helps me prove my point that everybody is a storyteller, because the way we build stories is based on our common knowledge. It's not based on any complicated theory. You don't have to go to university to understand that you are involved in a maze of storytelling. It's your storytelling, it's Marco's storyteller, it's Armando's storyteller. Everybody who is alive is in a story that intersects many others. And we understand our story. We understand that when we go visit that person, we have to take off our shoes because they get offended. The other person, we have to behave a certain way. We know the codes to our personal stories. So creating story for personal use as an expression of voice for companies draws from knowledge that we already have. So everybody is a storyteller already. You don't need to be a script writer or a book writer to actually understand what story you're a part of.
Absolutely.
All right. So
Yeah.
No, I mean, I could go further, but I also happy if people have comments or questions, we can also grab some of those as they come in, and then at some point, if you want to, I can show you a little bit of the app and why I made the app and where it comes from. I used to do this, as I said, in university. I used to put this on the blackboard and show students how to make stories, drawing the stories on a board.
Okay, let's bring this to the screen.
Yeah, this is something that I taught in 5 different universities, and really, I'm talking as if the video would now appear.
Okay, it will appear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I play it?
Yeah.
Okay.
How can we develop ideas for film in a consistent way? It's a big step. There's a big ocean in between. Saying, I have an idea. It's like I have a seed, that's going to become a tree. And in that in between, a lot of people get lost. I have a great idea for the movie, but I'm the only person who cares about it. Because the process is below the surface of the film. So my workshop focuses on the part that you don't see. Where do your ideas come from? How do you develop your ideas? All the stuff that really nobody could care less about. One of the greatest problems for you as you're creating a film is the fact that you have so much that you think about and so little that actually makes it on paper. You generate a volume of possibilities, but then when you put it through the funnel into the bottle of what you keep, there isn't that much. Have you been there? Yeah. So it's always been a temptation of mine to explain story with metaphors. Maybe because I have a background in philosophy and art history, and I'm always trying to bring in a number of different elements into discussion on story and storytelling, so that storytellers can be designers, they can be image makers, they can be marketers, they can be authors, they can be filmmakers, photographers. Everybody is trying to make sense of what makes them curious about life. What is it? What is the meaning of the expression, let alone what is the meaning of life, right? Because that's at the horizon. That's a big, wide goal that we all contemplate without illusions of figuring anything out. But everybody has an approach that's trying to break down life into small bits and pieces that we understand depending on our own talents. If you're a chemist and you look at a sunny day, you're thinking about nitrogen and oxygen, and you're thinking about chemical formulas for the hot sand, right? And at the same time, if you are a mechanic and you listen to cars driving on the street, you're thinking about which cars need a tune-up, right? Because that's your key into the world, is your knowledge. What you know is the key into your story to crack open something about the world in which you can manifest who you are and what you do. So I often use this metaphor in my workshop, which is, if you're going to pop a balloon, a hot air balloon, with a needle, and your objective is to pop a balloon, does it really matter at what point of the balloon you put the needle? The goal is to puncture the surface. The goal is to pop it. That's what you're after. And a lot of people are there thinking, oh my goodness, if I pop my story balloon in the wrong spot, what am I going to do? It's still going to pop, right?
Absolutely.
So a lot of people are thinking about, gee, if I go ahead and really go and puncture that bubble that contains my story, I'm so concerned that I might do it in the wrong place or in the wrong way, wrong medium, wrong style. So my suggestion is just to start anywhere. Anywhere you start your story, you can then focus on how to develop it. Because stories, let's face it, they're a dime a dozen. I mean, try to go in the street, right? I mean, walk out in the streets of Portugal and stop somebody and say, how much will you give me for a story? You ain't going to get rich.
Who knows?
No, I know. I know. You're not going to get rich selling raw stories, because raw stories have no value. The story has value when you develop it so you can deliver it. And development is what people struggle with. I mean, in Hollywood, it's called development hell because it's difficult. It takes a long time to develop a story, right? And you can develop anything from anywhere. That is exactly my idea, is that when you're in storytelling, you can take any point, any place, look at it and say, where does this come from? Where is it going? And in the simplest form, that's an ABC story. You have something that's happening right now, you have a destination, and you have something it comes from, maybe a mistake, maybe something good, maybe something bad. So you got the past as a source, you got the present, you got the future, but it's all happening in a choice, in a moment. When somebody says, hey, you want a whiskey? Right? Ask a writer to ask the answer to that question. And they'll say, well, I need to know who it is, where they are, what's going on, why the lights went off.
Perfect.
So, I mean, I know that talking about whiskey with the business and marketing people might be early since it's a Tuesday. But in a way, what I'm trying to say is that all storytelling is on the same plane. Whether you're developing characters for fiction or stories from fact, or documenting, or animating, or any kind of cinematic product, because that's all that matters today is cinematic product. If you can't make a video, you can't put a story that moves on a screen, you got nothing. Right? So we're all trying to learn. And in this particular talk, I'm not focusing on, on the big issues of business storytelling. Who am I? Why am I here? Why you should choose me? How do you do a pitch? I'm talking a little bit in general about why companies should be in-house storytellers. You don't need to go hire a bunch of people that will own your storytelling. In other words, it's not the same as hiring a company to do your commercials. It's becoming aware that your company has a story that everybody is a part of. So storytelling is a business environment more than it is a specific event. Right? And these things I talk about, and you can find these on my sites and in my world, which is cinemahead.com, and also on the Scriptonite.app site. And I'm available, to talk to companies and to help in defining steps for story development. So I train and coach companies in small steps, so that everybody can learn what I consider the most important safety device for us as a race, for humanity, and that is story literacy. Just like 100 years ago, not everybody knew how to read and write, and then we had massive alphabetization campaigns. They're not finished yet. We need more work, but we did it. And now we need to learn storytelling, because that is what we are using 100% of the time in our communication. We are always thinking about orienting within a story. Where am I going? Where am I coming from? Who else is in this story? Right? What's the story of this company? What's the story in the news? Follow these stories that evolve. But if we're not literate, if we can't tell what a story is about or break it down, then we are going to be in the hands of those who tell us what story that is. So we have to use story as empowerment of our own critical senses, whether you are making a story or listening to a story.
Very good. Very good. Let's show how does it work.
Yeah, let's show some Scriptonite. I'll just talk over these clips. You can pause this for a second, Marco.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to show this is it's an iPhone app only at the moment, so it's only available on the App Store. It will be on Android in June after the next 2 updates, which are coming this spring. Basically, if this looks familiar, it's because it is a visual story landscape. So there are no pages. You're developing a story by connecting. Here you see the beginning and the end, the 1 and the 2. The red is the problem, the green is the solution, and then you add elements in the middle. And I can show you this as we roll with the video, Marco. So basically, a story looks like this, looks like scenes that you connect on a storyline, and then basically creating a skeleton structure from this basic beginning and end, expand, develop the middle, inside. So the app helps you figure out the connection between how your premise starts, the what is happening at the beginning, and then right away go to the ending. So for example, you have beginning usually asks a question, right? Will the girl who got lost in the forest make it back home? Okay. How does that story end? Well, the story will either end that she makes it back home or she doesn't make it back home. It's fairly simple. You have your endings are going to be pretty straightforward, but then you can create the episodes, like we said in the other example with Ulysses and going to Troy, right? So is he going to make it back or not? And what do we have in the middle? I think in the next video we can see a little bit more. So here again I'm just showing scenes. The idea is that you can see how the scenes are connected and related in terms of space. For example, scenes go up and down, and you can stop it there for a sec. Scenes go up and down, reflecting also their dramatic value, right? So when things go bad, you go low. When things go well, you go high, as Michelle Obama likes to say, right? But the idea is that when you have a story that looks like this, and we haven't looked at scenes and characters yet, which we will do in the next video, but when you're looking at a scene like this, you can read it. You can read it like it's music because you know where these scenes are positioned. So you know that scene 4 is going to be down, that the characters will be losing something and then struggling to get back to scene 2. This visual reading is very powerful because you can tell rather quickly what happens in a story. A bit like if you're a musician and you look at a sheet of music, you can hear the music in your head when you look at it. So for me, as working with a lot of students and young people making films, this is a tool that allows me to see very rapidly how low it goes and how high it goes, how dramatic extremes come together, right? So if it's a straight line, you also have the option in this app to make PowerPoints and classes and presentations. They tend to be flatter because it's more linear. It's knowledge you already know, nothing to discover, nothing to reveal, mostly knowledge to transfer. So in the drama version, you have more ups and downs.
And let me ask you this, Daniel. This kind of structure with ups and downs, like okay, there's the starting, a down, a up, and a down again, and then the conclusion. This could be kind of a nice way to make the story grab the attention of the public, and also to look more real, because one of the things we can make, oh, my story was so good, almost success.
Yeah, right. Because I mean, that's a really good point. One of the, I think the temptations that the writers have with story is to write in support of the character, to help the character succeed. And but in reality, the opposite is true. The writer has the right to destroy the character. The writer has the right to kill the character, to bury the character. So the writer is pushing down, whereas the character is struggling to go up. Imagine someone who's trying to fly, try to jump up, and then the earth pulls them down, right? So that The writer is like gravity, like the forces that want to bury the aspirations of the heroes to rise. So your point is correct. The ups and downs reflect that. And this scene here, this 4 scene in this particular moment, oftentimes the hook, the moment of engagement, when you say, oh, this is a good story, I'm going to stick around, I'm not going to the bathroom, I'm going to watch it. Oftentimes that moment is a moment of loss. Somebody loses someone loses something, right? I don't know, someone gets hit on the head going to the tobacco store and doesn't remember anything. And the story begins because, that character has to now find his life again. So the moment of engagement is often subtractive. You lose something. You don't have to add things to arrive at solutions. You can just take stuff away. So yeah, that's the visual element. I think if you pop to the next video, I can show you the menus and some of the early tools that are in the app. Okay. So this, for example, is a scene view. When you enter a scene, then you have choices for casting characters, and you have different conflict levels. You can slide. Unfortunately, I couldn't work the stream directly from the app, so you have to sort of imagine the dynamics, because the fun thing is that you're actually holding in your hand something that looks a lot like a game console, but you're really thinking about how to develop your characters and your scenes. So it has a bit of a game flavor, but at the same time, it's also a utility because it's usable for real things, right? So let's go forward. Right. So here, for example, again, we see another line that has a different construction. You can have as many scenes as you want, so you can generate feature films if you want to, or parallel storylines, so different storylines as well. And I think now I have a little bit where I show you the menus and the tools. Okay, so here I'm just basically adjusting some positions. This is something you can do when you have a basic idea for a story. Sometimes I'll wake up and have a dream of something, and I no longer try to write it on a piece of paper. I don't know if it's ever happened to you when you try to write something you had a dream about. Oh, and the dragon was on the mountain, and then I was there with the sword, and I was swinging at the dragon, but he was like blowing fire in my face. And you try to write that stuff. In the morning, when you look at it, it's a mess. So I've learned to write down very simple things like mountain, dragon, sword, fire. And then I use those to actually start building a structure, because that I can remember: events, things, specific places. Okay, roll it forward a little bit. Okay, here we're back in the scene view, which is basically working more with dialogue and actions specifically within a scene, and you can cast characters, which I believe we will see next. Okay, so this is an interesting feature, which is that basically just by tapping on the background, you can generate a list of scenes that you can output to any text software or any script writing software. So it's a list of scenes in linear form. So what you saw as a structure, you can now, just swiping down, and you can let that roll, Marco, you can see the scenes that then you can output directly or share. So you can share to social media, you can share in any other way, both the visual map and the content. And you can share it private, nobody else can change it, or public, where other people can join in the team and suggest changes and give feedback, which is quite nice for working environments.
So I believe this is also, yeah.
I think if you go a little bit further, I should have the tool menu opening up, if I remember.
I think this is in this video, in the second one. Let me
Oh, okay.
Let me push it to the screen.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So, so this is basically a story kit menu where the idea is, I mean, the app is just released, and it's a very basic version, and it's free. And as we go on, and we'll release some of the tools that we've developed that help actually make some of the choices that mentor the storyteller. So here you're pretty much on your own. But the story kit, which you see has an idea button, a character button, and a timer and settings, develops along the way. So we will have modules, story kit modules that we will add to the app as we go forward. Roll it forward just a little bit. Yeah, this, for example, is the time bar, which is in the menu, and basically helps manage time in the story. And these are tutorials, instructions, manuals, and links to Vimeo films that help make the best of it. So at the moment, Scriptonite is out on the Apple Store, and it's free. And it will stay free until June. And then you will see that there is a mechanism by which the more you use it and the more you can use it for free. In other words, you keep it free forever as long as you continue to generate and share stories. Yeah, there's some new things coming this summer, but fundamentally this is a stable working release of Scriptonite, and hopefully we will have a good group, which is already okay, but even more people that are interested, in making stories and sharing what they have and what they test and learn from it. So we'll have some competitions and some more of that. Watch out, Mark. I'm gonna start getting some good stories out of you too.
Well, I'm waiting. Hopefully, he will arrive today. My iPhone. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So soon I will be also trying Scriptonite to see how does it works.
Oh, good. And you'll start complaining that you have no 5G.
Let's see. Let's see. So, Daniel, where people can find you to know a little bit? I think this link should be a place for people to find you.
Yeah, that is the link to the app. Also, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can just go to the App Store and just type Scriptonite, and you can download it for free. Or also, my site is cinemahead.com. That's my home site, and there you can find all sorts of different things, from blogs to forums to knowledge bases and community, and basically my business is in supporting filmmakers and storytellers develop stories and themselves. In other words, develop a method that is personal, just like this method is my personal method from when I started making films quite early. And I've always enjoyed a certain kind of film and a certain kind of story. And I think that is why my passion is for helping people find their own style, their own way. Because everybody seems to be telling stories, but just in closing, right? I think there's a bit of a formatting in the storytelling, just like we had web formatting when Google came out, and then everybody had to have sites that were formatted for Google search, for ads and stuff. And all those beautiful 90s websites that had graphics and animations, and you really had the feeling you were surfing the web, discovering stuff, all that disappeared because people just went for the formatted web. And now storytelling is in a bit of the same conundrum. A lot of original storytelling, but then also a lot of formatting. So now people make the formats that are in demand. And so I think in the phase where you learn to empower yourself with storytelling techniques and principles, this is the time to experiment. This is the time to make something that benefits not only you, but also your audience or your customers, right? I mean, storytelling is the key to good customer service, for example.
Absolutely.
And customer service is everybody's concern because it's the fastest growing industry in the world, right? So customer service people are storytellers. They know how to listen.
Indeed.
They are.
Yeah,
You're thinking of
absolutely.
salesmen.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely. Well, yeah.
yeah, I can stop right there.
Okay.
I can stop on demand.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you here. I think um, in the future we can talk a little bit more about this app and how we can use it, and if there's some new coming updates and upgrades, just let
Sure.
me know, and we can talk. We can talk about this. Okay, so thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you here again. And for those of you who are watching me, tomorrow I will be talking about um, live stream producing, about how you can come up with good guests to your show, like today, and how
Welcome,
to use
Marcel.
Restream. And also on Thursday, I will bring Ellen Lam from LiveScale to talk about live shopping, which is something that you should take a look at also. And you can use storytelling while you're selling, because it's a good way to sell in a more effective way. Okay, so stay tuned, and I will be back soon. Bye bye.